Do you ever feel like you talk to people or you do this experiment on people and they just lack the inability to understand how their brain works? Like they can't comprehend their own thoughts, like they just can't put it into words, or not even that. They're just not in touch with their own thoughts. Does that make sense?
We have sampled with a few people that have no inner experience at all. So who would never say I have words, and never say I have visual images, and never say I have feeling.
Do you believe them?
I believe them, yeah.
Yeah. God, that must be boring.
Well, they don't seem bored, and they seem like they're totally normal people, and they at least, they don't have the experience of the kind that we are capturing by DES, but there might be other or better or different ways to do it that would somehow tap into what goes on for them if there is something else. But by our standards, there are people who don't have experience, and they'll give you a lot of, well, I was doing the laundry, I was doing this, but I can't really say what's in my experience.
Do you feel like that they live more like outside of their body than they do like internally?
Well, there aren't very many of these people, so it's hard to generalize. But I can think of a few who were pretty high level people that you would be the doctor in your community kind of a guy, and you wouldn't tell from the outside.
So it's not associated with intelligence based on your personal experience?
I don't think so.
So it's day 3 of sampling, and I know what you're thinking. You need to shave. And I know that, but you're also probably wondering what's behind me, and that's a dog. Hi, Rex. He's got an itch. Also, you're probably thinking why I keep doing this over and over again, and it's because we need to get on the same page. They can't just hop inside my head and know what's going on. So after doing it multiple times, they can find patterns and put my thoughts into different categories so they can analyze it at the end. So when that happens, I'll do a video, we'll do a Q&A, I'll ask some questions that maybe you have, and then also we'll find out what's going on up here. Also, at some random time in this video, I'm going to put in a beep, and then I want you guys to play along and comment below what you were thinking at the beep, what you were thinking and how you were thinking. Unless it's mean, then you could keep those thoughts in your head. But then again, it's YouTube comments, so praying for the best, expecting the worst. Thanks, guys.
All right, so I did the study today while I was in class. So
Okay.
I just my brain wanders while I was in class. And I do want you to know that most of the time I am not paying attention to the lecture. I just want you guys to be aware.
When I started this research back a long time ago, I interrupted my own classes. This was back in the 70s when I was a younger guy, and
Still young.
And so I made beeps and delivered them in my classes. And what I found was that a lot of students, a lot of the time, were thinking about my legs because I wore shorts back at that time. And when I saw that, I thought, this is a bad deal. I shouldn't be wearing shorts. I never wore shorts again as in a teaching situation.
My professor was talking about how providers tend to say BUN, which is a lab value that you get on patients. They tend to say BUN, and nurses typically say BUN instead of BUN. And I was daydreaming instead of listening, and I was in a scenario where I said BUN, and it beeped when I was in the scenario, and I was saying, I mean BUN, sorry, I'm working on that, verbally. And then there's vague visual stuff going on where like I was in like a hospital, like I could see like a white coat, but it was barely there. So like I knew I was in a hospital when I was saying, I mean BUN, sorry, I'm working on that. So like I was feeling like kind of embarrassed that I was said BUN instead of BUN.
So I have created, I guess, in my imagination, some situation in which I would have accidentally said the nurse version, bun,
Yes.
and then I'm like, oh no, I
No
meant
disrespect to
I
nurse.
mean BUN. Sorry, I'm working on that. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And so this is you saying that.
Mm-hmm.
And do you see yourself, or do you just sense yourself in a hospital somehow, or do you just say this and there's no sort of visual? I just know that I would say it in a hospital.
There is a visual, but it's very vague. It's like more of like light. It's more of like whiteness. Like if you go into like like an OR, an operating room, it's very well lit. It's very white. It was more of just like a whiteness than it was anything, and then because of that, I knew that it was a hospital, or like that's how I set the scene, was just that whiteness. That's all I needed.
Okay. And that is not meant as like I don't see anything, so I'm calling it white as in blank. It's like
Oh,
I see vaguely whiteness, like a whitish
yeah.
hospital-like white space. Do you see yourself?
No.
And is that because this thing just isn't very detailed, so I don't see myself, but I know I'm there, or I am there in the thing, so I don't see myself because I'm in it? Does that make sense?
Looking at it through my own eyes. So
Right.
I don't think that my voice is necessarily connected to myself in the situation where I'm standing there actually like talking to someone. I think my voice is just loosely connected to the setting of being in a hospital and talking to a provider that like I'm embarrassed to be like saying that to, which I wouldn't be, but I guess the way that when I set the scene, he said it about like how nurses say that, and like practitioners find it weird that the nurses say it like that, which is kind of a blanket statement by him, but
Yeah.
I
But
guess
you're illustrating how that would go down.
exactly. So
Okay.
And are you talking to the guy in the white coat?
yes. Do you the guy in the white coat is symbolism of my preceptor that I would be like training under.
And so you've said a few times, like, I see a white coat, but I haven't actually heard you say I see a preceptor wearing a white coat.
I don't think I did. It's that vague where like.
Okay. Like, I understand the white coat to represent or belong to the preceptor, but it's so undifferentiated that it's not like I see a man or a woman wearing a white coat.
Yeah, it's almost like it's enough information. I don't need to go into more detail. It's just there, and I know, and I sense the embarrassment of this person that I respect, and I feel the embarrassment too.
So everything is white except there's a white coat that symbolizes the preceptor somewhere there.
Yeah.
In the middle of your visual field or off to the side?
Ooh, that's a good question. It was slightly to the left.
Is the feeling in your chest that is now embarrassment the same as the feeling in the chest that was before anger? Even though now I know this is embarrassment and then I knew that it was anger, but the chesty feeling is the same?
No, it's a different feeling.
Okay.
It's completely different. Yeah, I don't think I could explain the physical sensation any farther. It'd have to happen again, and I'd have to like actually think about it at that moment. It happened too long ago for me to actually answer these questions.
And that's why if you really are interested in the experience of anything actually, but of emotion, you have to do this kind of thing repeatedly, so that now Ryan presumably is, wow, I wonder what that feeling was like. I should pay attention to that.
Yeah.
And then next time you'll be better at it. And there's no short circuiting that, no shortcutting that.
Yeah, I just think that the bigger picture of this is like the daydream just encompassed verbal, visual, feeling. It was a very like inclusive experience where just like it was I was very in it, very taken away from paying attention to the lecture and like really just like experiencing this moment to like its fullest. So I was looking at like a a visual in my book of an EKG, and then it started to wander, and I thought about grocery shopping.
So I'm accepting that your eyeballs are aimed at the EKG, and your brain is somehow processing the EKG. The question is whether that is in your direct experience right at the moment of the beep, or whether you have left that in favor of the grocery store stuff.
I left it. So like it, obviously I was looking at it, but it wasn't what I was experiencing. I wasn't thinking about the EKG anymore. I wasn't even like looking at it as in like I could analyze it in that while the beep went off, I wasn't analyzing it or looking at it like in like a way where I was trying to like read it, you know?
So does that mean that as far as your experience is concerned, it's might as well just not be there at all? Or does that mean that I still have some experience of it, it's just pretty low grade or low level or something?
If it is there, it's very low.
Okay. And that's a good answer. So, I don't think we can ever distinguish between not there at all and there's so little that you can't figure it out. And when you get down in the weeds, that's as far as you can do.
Yeah.
And when you say, I was thinking about the grocery store, is that I'm a marker for I feel hungry and I see the parking lot? That's what I mean by thinking about the grocery store? Or do I mean I am experiencing some kind of a thought about the grocery store and feeling hungry and seeing the parking lot?
I was hungry first before the beep went off. I was hungry, and the feeling of hunger brought the image of the parking lot of the grocery store.
And do I still feel hungry at the moment of the beep, or is that gone as well?
Yeah, no, I still feel hungry.
And so at the moment of the beep, there's at least two things going on. I feel hungry and I see the parking lot.
Yep. So when the beep went off, I was feeling hungry. I was looking at something, not in the footlights of my consciousness. Now that we got that out of the way.
Okay.
And I was also visualizing the parking lot of the grocery store.
And from that list, no thought about I need to go to the grocery store. I know that on some level, but it's not
Perfect.
Before the footlights of consciousness. I see the grocery store, but I'm not also thinking I gotta go to the grocery store. Is that right?
I think the visual in me being hungry was that.
Got it. Then the visual, I see the grocery store. What do I?
It's actually the parking lot. So it's a plaza of a bunch of different things, and it's an area of the parking lot that's not even directly in front of the grocery store. It's on the completely opposite end. But it's for some reason it's associated with my hunger.
So I am seeing a parking lot, which is in the shopping center where the groceries, in reality, is in the shopping center where the grocery store is, but is not contiguous to the grocery store. And yet, in my experience, I see the grocery store shopping parking lot.
Yeah, in my experience, they're associated. So it's not, it's in front of a completely different place, somewhere that I go. But so I guess maybe that's why I was seeing that. It's because it's something that I've seen multiple times. So that's why the memory is so good.
Experience is not directly related to reality. It's just not. And we got to keep reminding ourselves of that. So I can see this parking lot and I can experience it as the grocery store parking lot, even though in reality it's at the other end of the shopping center from the grocery store.
That's what's happening here.
Okay, so I see the parking lot, and do I see it clearly?
More vividly than the hospital that I was in. Like I could see cars in the parking lot. I wouldn't be able to tell you what color they are, like right now, based on the memory. I didn't like write down everything.
Right.
But I'm sure if you beefed me in the moment, I could probably pick out colors of cars to that like level of.
So I see a well differentiated parking lot with cars and people, stores, or just cars.
It was almost like a picture. There's no movement or anything. I didn't see any people, just a parking lot.
Okay.
And from what perspective?
I could like draw you a picture of it. It was facing the other way. So the store would be to my back.
Mhm.
So it's like I'm walking out of that store and like looking out into the parking lot.
And from like the height and whatever of like of you or a person
Yeah.
standing in the parking lot, it's not like not like an aerial view or something.
Yeah, no, it would be something that I would see with my own eyes.
Okay.
And then there's the hunger. I feel hungry.
Hmm.
What does that feel like?
Just in my stomach, I feel like yeah, back to trying to describe feelings again. I'm sure it has to be similar to what you guys feel like when you're hungry. I can't imagine everyone feels this differently. Just my stomach felt empty. And I knew that if I ate something, that feeling would go away. That's all I got. I can't. It was in my stomach. It didn't hurt. It was, I don't know.
So a stomachy sensation that I know is hunger.
Yeah.
All right. I think I'm good.
Yeah, me too.
And you're doing great. You know, we are confrontational, I guess you would say, that we want to make sure that we understand exactly what you mean. And so when you say something that we find ambiguous, we're going to try to nail it down. But that's not a failing of yours or a peccadillo of ours. It is the way this process has to go if we're really going to understand you.
Is there anything I could do better to improve, just like my explanation of things, or?
I think you're doing great. I have absolutely no suggestions. I think
my brain is unique. I don't know.
It seems pretty clear that you're trying to get it right and on your terms for your experiences. And I don't see how we're going to help you do that better, other than to ask the kind of clarification questions that we've been asking.
All right, sounds good. I don't know if you could tell, but I enjoy explaining my thoughts. There's not many people that you could go up to and start talking about how your brain works. It's pretty unique experience.
Well, good. And I don't know whether you can tell, but we enjoy. I'll speak for myself. ALEK can speak for herself. I enjoy hearing. It's two things. I enjoy hearing what people's experiences are like. That's genuinely interesting. And I also enjoy the asking of it, because it's like a crossword puzzle, our own private three-dimensional crossword puzzle that we're trying to figure out. And that is a intellectual, visceral, whatever kind of challenge that it is. So it's an enjoyable process in a lot of different ways.
All right, have a good one. Bye, guys.
Bye.